Hello and welcome to We Do Disney. My name's Doug and Emmie is traveling this weekend. So, I've put together my top 5 favorite things to do on a solo trip to Walt Disney World. My number 5 favorite thing to do on a solo trip to Walt Disney World is book a ton of FASTPASSes. Now, FASTPASSes when you're on a solo trip to Walt Disney World are unique because you only need to get one. Now that seems self-explanatory, but the benefit is these come by more often and it's far easier to get FASTPASSes for rides for a single rider than it would if you were in a big group. When you are booking these FASTPASSes, if you truly want to maximize the number of rides you can do in a single day, what you're going to want to do is book your first FASTPASS for the first hour that you're going to be in the park. Don't book any others. Now this is where it gets tricky. As soon as you scan in, ride the ride that your first FASTPASS is booked for, that's when you start searching for the second. You'll notice that as long as your first FASTPASS is complete, you can book within the same hour window that would have been present for your first FASTPASS. So, example, let's say I go to the Magic Kingdom that opens at 8 o'clock. I have a FASTPASS booked for 8 to 9. Let's say I go to the Haunted Mansion. First thing I do is head straight to the Haunted Mansion, scan in, ride the ride, and when I get off, it's only 8:20. I can book an 8:30 FASTPASS as long as the first FASTPASS has been completed. So let's say I book an 8:30 FASTPASS. Going on Small World and I don't want to skip that super long line, or I do want to skip the super long line. I can go on Small World at 8:30 if that pops up, scan in, ride my ride, it is a Small World after all, and it's 9 o'clock. I can book a 9 o'clock window FASTPASS. This system allows you to get more FASTPASSes because as soon as you've passed that first initial 3, you can continue to add them on one at a time. If you are a rides person, this is the ticket for one of the most ultimate days solo at Walt Disney World. My number 4 thing that I love to do on a solo trip to Walt Disney World is grab that snack that you have just been dying to have but never had the opportunity. Let's say you love the Magic Kingdom, you're hanging out there for the day, and you know, that Nutella waffle fruit sandwich over at Sleepy Hollow is just calling your name. There is absolutely nothing to hold you back from going and getting that treat. This is the time to be able to pick those treats, those snacks, those restaurants maybe that you've wanted to go to for the longest time, but maybe not always had everybody on board. Go, do it, grab the snacks. No one can judge you because it's just you. I could have 3 of those Nutella waffle fruit snack sandwiches in a single day if I felt like it, although I'd probably pass away. My point is, this is the chance for you to go against the grain. Maybe you have picky eaters, maybe you have kids that just don't do seafood and you really want to try a seafood location. This is your chance to be able to take part in those things without having to worry about making sure that everybody is happy with your choice. You are the only one that needs to be happy, and that can be a beautiful thing. My number 3 thing to do on a solo trip to Walt Disney World is enjoy the scenery. You know, Walt Disney World can be a very on-the-go type vacation. And when you're going solo, you don't have to be in a rush if you don't want to. Remember, this is all about you. Yeah, it sounds a little selfish, but as you are walking about the parks, if you see a bench where you just want to sit, maybe have an iced coffee, people watch, and just enjoy what goes by, you can. And that's not always the case when you're coming with a large group of family or people are really wanting to do rides and see every parade. You can sit back, relax, and watch the world go by. And you know, Walt Disney World can be one of the most beautiful places. It's like this well-manicured park that you have at your disposal with some of the nicest people you could ever meet. The cast members who I've met are always willing to strike up a little conversation. So sit back, relax, and don't be afraid to watch the world go by. My number 2 activity for your Walt Disney World solo trip is going to be exploring your surrounding resorts and taking some time for yourself. Now, I know I've kind of buffed up the resorts in many previous videos, but I gotta say, some of my favorite time that I've spent at Walt Disney World has been at the unique resorts that surround the parks. Now, when you come to Walt Disney World in a group, oftentimes you're going to be at the parks the majority of the time, except for that all-important midday break that you should be taking, and taking some R&R time, pool time, nap time back at your resorts that we mentioned in the Survival Tips Guide. I know you guys do that. But the rest of your time is going to be spent at the parks. You don't necessarily get a whole lot of exploring time at the resorts. So while you're there on a solo trip, let's say you've had some fun at the Magic Kingdom and you hop on the monorail. You could go to the Contemporary, head up to the California Grill, maybe have an old-fashioned and enjoy a little bit of rest and relaxation while the sun sets over the Seven Seas Lagoon. That's not a bad way to spend an evening. Or, let's say you continue on the monorail, you end up at the Polynesian. There is a bar there called Trader Sam's. This has some really unique experiences to it. I won't ruin it if you've never seen it. And there's also an outdoor terrace where you can relax, have a drink, maybe some bar fare, some good snacks. You could watch the fireworks from across the Seven Seas Lagoon from the Polynesian. There's a lot of opportunity to go somewhere where you haven't before for a really unique experience. And the best part, if you love it, you bring your family next time and you're the pro that gets to show them something new. That's why that's number 2 on my favorite things to do on a solo trip to Walt Disney World. My number 1 favorite thing to do on a solo trip to Walt Disney World is just enjoy the freedom. I love spending time at Walt Disney World with my friends, my family, and especially with Emmie. But there is something very freeing about going to Walt Disney World alone. No, you're not crazy. No, it's not sad. Yes, it might end up being one of your favorite trips to the theme parks you've ever had, because you're free to do whatever you want. If you decide that you want to do rides, jump on the FASTPASS train. If you decide you just want to have snacks and sit on Main Street and people watch, you sit and you watch. If you decide that you just want to take a scenic walk and observe the little Disney details that make Walt Disney World so special, you walk. This level of freedom only comes with a solo trip. Because we are huge fans, it is going to be one of those trips that is scary to book, scary to plan, because you're just not sure what to do all alone at Walt Disney World, but it may just change your perspective on the wonderful parks that we have grown to love. That's why this is my number 1 favorite thing about a solo trip to Walt Disney World. The freedom you gain is absolutely priceless. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit the like button below, and subscribe to our channel. If you didn't like staring at me for the duration of this video, don't you worry, I have a much cuter counterpart who will be back next time. I want to thank you guys so much for joining in. Have a wonderful day. Today, we're going to be, well, all alone. This week, well, not just this week, I'm Doug. Trip to Walt Disney World. Watch the sunset over Bay Lake. The sun doesn't set over Bay Lake. It's not exactly true.